right now, what we have two Japanese partners. We participated in the bid. So if we will do this project, so one package will roughly have around 15 to 20 billion. So we have dependence on sharing it. So right now we have around 40% share in the consortium. So we intend also to bid on other packages. So if we can get more packages, win more projects and in this subway, then this will really add business and revenues, obviously, to our existing order book portfolio. So Megawide will not be purely a building contractor lang. We will also be doing railway projects. It's not only about the cost, but the capacity to grow. You can have a lower margin, but with the volume that you're able to deliver, diba? You can grow your company faster than the others. Yun yung realization. And then the brand equity will come in kasi people will believe that you can deliver a better job eh. So yung cost that you might be incurring now will eventually augment your brand because of your brand. Every asset that we will be building or developing, we want to make sure it's first world kasi first world naman it doesn't have to be always so expensive. Kaya nga Marvin, dito sa amin may joke nga yan eh, pag if you do something yung pangit or substandard, pagtatawanan ka, ano ba yan? Ba't hindi first world yan? 'Di ba? Nakakahiya naman. Nasa lista ka pa naman, 'di ba? May mga nasa lista at Ateneos dito naglolokohan kami ng ganyan, Marvin. So, but that's good, no? Kasi you somehow parang you change the mindset of our people or our team not to build something first world.
And I remember it when I toured the Mactan Airport before it started to open. They said something very, very interesting. They said that they made things very, very efficient. That yung dating 13 steps, nagawa nilang 6 steps. Kaya from the time na pumasok ka or lalabas ka sa airport, sobrang bilis because you were able to do something that didn't really require a lot of money pero nagawa nyo lang mas efficient. Kaya mas madali rin yung experience also for the customers in the airport.
Totoo yun. That was the first terminal because it took us 3 years pa naman to build for the new terminal. So yung first terminal, we just reconfigure the spaces and the flow. And then by doing that, we're able to shorten the queuing time by 2/3.
I want to ask this. You talked about your defensive projects and then also the ones highly connected to the subway. And then your pivot also how you're trying to be efficient with the airport. How does that translate also to revenues for the company right now, doing all of these tweaks and positioning into segments that are more defensive?
If you look at the construction right now, Marvin, all of these infrastructure projects are practically bigger. One project will have like roughly around 15 to 25 billion in size. So typically for our yung mga existing projects, we normally have 2 to 3 billion in one project. So it's bigger. Although the duration is longer, like 4 years, 5 years, but in terms of size, it's bigger. So yung changes siguro sa construction will have a bigger order book, but a longer duration. And then we are able to maximize our resources, our people, because mas malaki yung revenue namin. Now, in terms naman, developing our own projects, that's for construction. No? But in terms naman yung having our own development where we are not just the builder but also the developer. So normally naman ito, we have a bigger margin. EBITDA is much higher because the operation naman has a higher EBITDA margin. So if you blend this together, so magi-increase yung yung margin namin, yung gross profit margin and the EBITDA. So the more development or own operations, the more the development projects that we have, our revenue, our EBITDA will increase. But the construction naman, the more we go to infrastructure, get bigger projects, revenue naman tataas.
I want to zero in on a particular project. You mentioned about developing things. You have something in Cebu, the carbon market redevelopment. Can you tell us more about that? Your vision? What's the entire plan for all of these projects that you're building there?
We were in Cebu no, operating the Mactan Airport, we were approached by the LGU in Cebu and asked us to how we can help them solve their problem in Cebu, especially in the carbon, no, kasi carbon market is a heritage in Cebu. It's the oldest public market in the Philippines since 1800 pa. Hindi lang na-develop. Ngayon, if you look at the place, medyo madumi siya, kawawa yung mga vendors doon, yung mga nagtitinda doon, and then in terms of sanitation, kulang talaga. Kulang ng proper facilities. And then when we were approached about before the pandemic pa and how we can help them. So parang ganyan. So sa amin din naman Marvin, when we accepted the project, sabi namin, are we really ready to face all of these challenges? Kasi alam mo naman, dealing with the vendors is not easy, di ba? Marami yan sila. 4,000, 5,000 to 6,000 of vendors.
Wow.
And we need to deal with them. Oo. Remember, the oldest public market yan na Marvin, yun nga, minsan it's not all about money din, di ba? So also because we want to also help the Cebu City, the LGU, and how we can improve the carbon market. So itong carbon market, it's a public wet and dry public market. So we will improve the facilities and the operations by making it safe, by making it clean, healthy. So alam mo naman sa public market, 'di ba, how dirty most our public market are, 'di ba, in terms of yung cleanliness, in terms of yung sanitation nila. So we're going to improve that to a level where it becomes first world. So, and then by making sure that the cost to the vendors are the same. Meaning, hindi dapat hindi sila mapapamahal because I mean, cost sensitive to Marvin kasi in the end they need to be able to sell their goods at the competitive price. I mean, all of these improvements that we are doing, we need to find a ways where we can save the money, and that's where we can make margin. Yun lang naman yun lang sa amin. So by able to go directly to the vendors, maiwasan yung mga middleman, maiwasan yung ganon. So then yun lang naman, and we're not increasing any rate. Kung ano lang yung existing nila, kung ano yung standard na public market na codes nila, we just have to follow that. And then at the same time, provide a first world facilities. Ito yung one of our business din, Marvin, na it's like a public market combination with terminal. How do we improve that? Kasi yung carbon market kasi, it's a public market and then with terminal. Yeah, yung mga goods, yung agro, all the agricultural, like yung mga vegetables, and then mga poultries, meat, that's where they call it bagsakan. That's where they bring all their goods, and yun ang nagdi-distribute sa Cebu. So that's what we're trying to solve and solve the problem and eventually create business out from it.
You're doing something very good and interesting because for decades already, ang dami nang nag-improve sa Pilipinas, pero yung public markets, they've stayed the same. Wala masyadong nagbago. You're solving a decade-long problem that no one has, in my opinion, really addressed. And I think the plan is when you're successful here, you're gonna do it in other parts of the country as well.
Of course, pwede yan, diba? It's an opportunity, why not? Kasi technically, if you look at the public market and the terminals in the Philippines, Marvin, yun yung one of the most neglected neglected yun na sector. So we want to solve that. If we're able to upgrade carbon market, then most likely we can do it in any part of the Philippines, in any cities, all the facilities of public market and terminals.
Which is in my opinion very nice, because it changes the narrative na laging inisip ng mga tao na sa mall na lang bibili kasi mas safe, malinis, and now there's when this gets successfully pulled off also, it gives an alternative to people na sa market na lang bibili, and then it gives a chance also to support yung mga smaller farmers, smaller entrepreneurs also, kasi I think it makes it more competitive even for smaller market Filipinos to actually make a mark also and earn more as well.
Totoo yun, Marvin. In fact, yung sa carbon nga, I mean, there are thousands or hundreds of the sellers, yung mga, kasi bagsakan yan that's where the vendors, yung mga nagtitinda ng palengke, and the bagsakan, mga farmers, fishermen, that's where they dump naman their goods So at ngayon pa lang nga ngayon pa lang ang dami ng mga farmers, yung mga farmers natutuwa kasi nga we're sharing them the plans of the company on how to improve the facilities. Na-excite sila. Can you imagine na before hirap sila when they deliver, sabi namin yung dating kunyari na 5-6 hours yung gagawin na lang ng 1 hour and 30 minutes. So yung mga ganon.
Wow.
And then not only that, syempre yung mga din Marvin, like for example yung mga vendors, ang dami diyan pa utang, mga 5-6. So what we're developing, we are developing a facilities where yung mga banks naman, local banks, government banks, pinasok naman natin sila doon. So what we're creating here is to develop a facilities where a bagsakan where the farmers, fishermen, 'di ba, will meet and also with the vendors at saka yung mga public market goers, yung mga buyers, consumers, doon magkikita, plus yung mga lenders, yung mga banks, nandun sila na safe yung facilities, hindi yung puro hold up, puro knockout. Diba? You will create a facilities like that, and then sino magbe-benefit? Yung mga vendors, kaysa they pay 5-6 every day, 20%, may bangko na who can lend them, diba? So, you're giving opportunities to these vendors. Tapos yung mga farmers, you're also helping uplift their standards by providing them the right service, by providing them the right facilities. They can grow their business, diba? So even the banks will have the chance to fund these local vendors. Kasi ang problema na ng mga banks, kaya naman itong mga vendors are resorting to mga 5-6 kasi hindi naman nakakapasok yung banks so mawawala yung mga loan shark na mapapalitan na mas maayos, which is mabibigyan ng oportunidad yung mga mas mababang negosyante.
We've been talking for a few minutes, and what I've realized from everything that you have been discussing, part and parcel nung pagninegosyo mo is it has to make a social impact also, na talagang it's something that betters the country as a whole, pero merong naapektuhan na tao na magbe-benefit, that they come out better than where they were before.
Totoo yan, Marvin, because even at the time when we bidded the DepEd, the school buildings, 10,000 classroom, that was 2012. Out of the 6 big construction companies, lahat sila nag-back out
Wow.
And then we were the only one submitted the bid. Pero lumapit yun sa amin yung the late undersecretary before approached us and told us even, can you participate this bid even kung ayaw mag-participate ng ibang bidders? I know this project is challenging, sabi niya at that time. Sabi niya, I know it will be challenging, but sabi niya, you have to look at it from the standpoint din na hindi lang purely pera, Edgar. Sabi niya, sabi ni Secretary at that time, Secretary si Brother Armin, lasalista rin ako, sabi niya, pinaparating sa inyo. Sabi niya, remember, lasalista mo kayo. Diba? You don't do business only purely for money, right? Tingnan mo rin yung social impact. So totoo yun. We said yes, and we pushed for that project, and we pursued that project in spite of the challenges. At saka yung margin, hindi naman siya ganun kalaki, but alam namin yung social impact is really very big, because how many hundreds of Filipino students or pupils will benefit this, sabi namin nung pagtinuloy namin, which is true. Diba? I think kung hindi naman dahil doon, wala naman kaming airport, wala kaming PITX. So yun yung mga good karma, diba?
Congratulations on that. That being said, you mentioned something earlier, and I just want to drill down also on this, and because this is something I'm very, very excited about. Prior to the pandemic, me and my wife, we like traveling. And yung nagpapa-excite sa mga travels is yung, alam mo yun, yung efficiency to be able to ride a subway na, okay, alam mo, in 15 minutes dadating ka sa area na yon, and then you talked about that you bagged a portion of that particular massive project. Can you tell us more about that, because this is something that needs to be talked about, because it's something that's exciting. First subway in the Philippines, and it's not just that it's a high ticket project, it's something that will impact a lot of people, especially in Metro Manila, yung having the liberty na alam mo aalis ka ng 12, alam mo dadating ka ng 12:30, yung predictability pa lang nun, sobrang game-changing na yun para sa akin eh.
Yes, totoo yun. Kasi yung subway na yan, project, it's being designed by and developed by yung mga yung Japanese na overseas funded, yung JICA. So this subway will start in Bulacan area in Valenzuela, and it will traverse to Ortigas, and then to Capital Commons, to BGC, up to
Airport.
Bikutan, yung airport. So it's really very it's very strategic no yung location. So and ang maganda lang dito din Marvin. So if we have that the first one, usually naman ang kailangan mo lang yung first eh. Ang maganda lang if we can have that project na, and then you will see the impact na yan eventually, kasi the mobility of the people and the economy it will create, the activities, all of this tingin ko will really have a big impact to all of us, especially here in Metro Manila. And then hopefully we can further develop pa on the next line. Remember, in other countries, like for example, yung mga Thailand na lang, they have more than 20-30 lines na of railway. Tayo, tatlo pa lang, but we were the first one since 30 years ago, 1970s. Napapag-iniwanan na tayo, pero I think humahabol naman tayo ngayon. It's good that the government now, this administration, have really pushed this all the development develop all these rail projects.
What's the main involvement of Megawide in this particular in this project, and then how does that impact also revenues also, at least for the next few years as well?
Right now, what we have 2 Japanese partners. We participated in the bid. So if we will do this project, so one package will roughly have around 15 to 20 billion. So we have depende sa sharing eh. So right now we have around 40% share in the consortium. So we intend also to bid on other packages. So if we can get more packages, win more projects and in this subway, then this will really add business and revenues obviously to our existing order book portfolio. So Megawide will not be purely a building contractor lang. We will also be doing railway projects, not only purely building. So now we have one for the Malolos to Clark. This is like elevated and upgrade the railway projects. And then now we won one project but waiting for the official award, one package for the subway, hopefully to get more packages. And then we also have participated itong South Commuter Line naman from Tutuban going to Calamba. So all of these packages, if we win more packages, more projects of this one, this will eventually be an additional revenue to our existing order book.
Looking at your numbers, you've mentioned so many times about the order book. You have around 60 billion right now, which is a very, very good number from where you were when you did your IPO. Congratulations to that. A couple of questions on your order book. How does that translate in terms of your net income? And second is, we're at the start of 2022. What can we expect for those who are watching this and those who are tracking at least Megawide also as a company? Do you have bigger targets for what you want to get in terms of your order book for 2022?
In fact, Marvin, during the pandemic, in spite of the we have projects that were canceled, and stopped because of pandemic. So we have clients that have decided to stop their projects. In spite of that, we were able to replenish new projects. During pandemic 2021, 22, we were able to replace them with bigger ones. So we ended up, we have a higher order book. So in spite of those stop projects. So, but moving forward, we expect to win more infrastructure projects, and this will further increase our order book. So right now, we will, as I said earlier, we'll focus on this infrastructure rail project. This project kasi if we get 2 or 3, it will really increase our order book by 30% easily kasi medyo malaki yung ticket size. And we are also focusing in the building side, focus on the affordable housing naman, because we think naman that during pandemic there is really a strong demand on the affordable housing. So with these 2 sectors, infrastructure and affordable housing, we will further increase our order book.
I think we're also at the tail end of this pandemic. Are you more optimistic already, given the stance that you're taking a very, very aggressive approach also, but on certain sectors already that you know will currently thrive under this new normal? How do you see this play out, no? Given that the pandemic is about to, I don't know if it will be over, but signs are leading to it that we are in a better position now than compared to March 2020.
I guess the pandemic will always be there. The behavior have already changed. Even how the globally, how other governments are responding, to this pandemic. I think with this kind of lockdown, safety protocols, this will always be there. So I guess we just have to embrace and adapt the situation. So sa akin lang it's fine naman even right now, even though the cases are high, some of the areas are being locked down, but we're still able to operate naman. We manage how to operate safely. Of course, there are protocols that we need to follow. So for us, I guess the advantage nga right now is I know there are other construction companies who are struggling, but there are also other companies who are able to make it. So I guess because the policy have changed, situation have changed, those people who can respond to the current situation will benefit more or will be able to survive, to thrive. So for us, I'm saying lang, if you look at the data, we have our order book and then we're able to sustain the business. Then I think the key is adaptability siguro. In terms of us developer, we see that Megawide will have more development when it comes to transportation assets. So it can be like a public market combination with terminals. Now it can be some operation and management of rail. It can be a potential opportunity also for us. We want to be part of the country wherein we will be helping the government not only build or develop the infrastructure, but also operate and manage.